Corticon Logging provides fast and flexible logging functionality for production servers and studio tests. Beginning in Corticon 5.5, we provide greater control over the information that is written to your logs. Using the brms.properties file, you can control where the log files are created, whether to roll over the logs, how files are retained, what type of information is written to those files, and even separate decision services into separate log files. The brms.properties file can be used to override the default log file management. You can control where the logs are written using the log path. The default value is your work directory, but you can uncomment the line and specify a directory of your choice. It is worth noting that you must use forward slashes as a path separator, as shown here. The log daily rollover specifies whether to roll over the logs based on elapsed time and size. The default value is true. You also have control over how many logs to retain, using the log rollover max history. The default value is 5. Two brms.properties control what is written to the logs. The log level controls what level of logging is used. Values range from off to all. The default is info, shown here. At info and higher levels, you can add details in the logs using the log filters except. The default messages that are added are diagnostic and system. Using a comma-separated list, you can pick and choose just the entry types you want logged. Setting it equal to blank does not add any of the messages. Let's take a closer look at the log levels. The lowest level is off, which creates a log file with version details only. The default log level is info, providing basic information. From info to all, you can selectively filter the information by using the log filters except. The log filters except lets you include different types of information emanating from running services to the log. When the log level is set to info or higher, this property accepts logging of information types that are listed. Set your preferred log filters by uncommenting the line #logfilters except equals in brms.properties, and then listing the functions you want to have in the logs as comma-separated values from the following. Rule trace records complete content of each request and response. Diagnostic records server and decision service performance diagnostics at a defined interval. The default is 30 seconds. Timing records timing events. Invocation records invocation events. Violation records exceptions. Internal records internal debug events. And system records low-level errors and fatal events. Using these shortcuts will generate log activity. Always save a pristine copy of the brms.properties before making edits. In this test, we open a file with the default settings and a single change to the log path. The top of the file contains an introduction to the new log settings. Beneath the initial comments are a series of comments that show the default settings. We've kept those as a reminder in case we want to reset them to the defaults. The only change made here was to store the log file in a directory called default, so we can separate our test cases. Now we save as brms.properties, overwriting the existing file. The next step is starting the server. Waiting for a server startup message to appear. Step 3 is launching the testing script, testserveraccess.bat, that is shipped with the product. Enter 131 to send a test file to the process order decision service. Enter the default name for the request document to submit a valid request. Enter 131 again, and supply bad file to generate an error message. Then close the test window. The next step is to stop the server. This stops the logging and prepares it for the next test. Now we can review the log file. We navigate to the log path directory for this test, called default, and open ccserver.log. The log file is only 9K. You'll want to remember that number for later. Searching for info, reveals the types of messages captured at the log level. Next, search for Info System to see the types of messages added by the log filters accept, including system messages. Next, we search for Info Diagnostic to locate the messages written to our log. There is a second log created by the use of the test server access.bat called the Corticon.log. Opening this file shows the error messages that were generated by the bad file name. Now let's turn all logging off using the brms_none.properties file. The log level equals off, and the log filters accept is equal to blank. Save as brms.properties. I've repeated the steps 2 through 4, and we return to step 5 to review the logs. Opening the ccserver.log shows only the license details. Now we'll enable all the logging. This would typically be done only at the request of a technical support engineer to solve a particular problem, and then reset to the defaults. Log level is all. All filters are specified in a comma-separated list. And we save as brms.properties. We fast forward to review the results. The first thing to note is the size of the file. The default file was 9K, and this file is 350K. We have info and debug level messages that show the cumulative nature of the log level. Within the debug messages, we have the internal messages appearing that we added to the log filters accept. Searching for rule trace provides more details about the inputs that were sent during the test. The Corticon.log has grown from 1K to 13K. In special cases, you may want to temporarily separate the log at the decision service level. Setting the log per DS property equal to true turns on decision service logging. The steps are the same. For more information on different use cases, please see the following topics in the documentation. This concludes our look at Corticon Logging.